for everything iRacing and eSpeed.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to another exciting Sunday night of Light Electric Company NextGen Series action. Tonight we have the Southern Conservation Trust 150 presented by Hilton Photography, and we are in Darlington, South Carolina at Darlington Raceway. I'm Travis Piercefield and joined as always by John Hine. John, I know you were out on the track earlier. The level of difficulty should be high tonight at Darlington.
Yeah, high. I would say astronomical. This is going to be a big challenge for every one of these guys on track here tonight. It's a track that you just can't be aggressive with. You got to take what the track's going to give you. If you get greedy going into a corner, try to get a little more, you're going to knock the wall down. If you get greedy trying to come off the corner, trying to gas it up a little bit to get that little extra bit of a run down the straightaway, well, you're going to lose the back end and go around. So, yeah, these guys are going to have a heck of a time. Their hands are going to be full all night.
Watching practice, Steve Baker shot to the top of the chart, so there were some usual suspects there at the top of the speed list. But we were talking about it. We wouldn't be surprised if this race started out with some cautions, maybe really settling into what this track needs and where you need to be. But then also with this series and the skill level of these guys, we could also start with a 50-lap green flag run, and neither would surprise me.
No, it really wouldn't. And, these guys just seem to adapt no matter where we go, what kind of track, whether it be a road course, short track, super speedway, the cookie cutter mile and a half. These guys bring it every week, and they race with their heads just as much as they do their foot and their hands. So, yeah, who knows what to expect tonight, but that's why we tune in, and that's why we enjoy covering them.
So we talked about it last week when we finished up the race. We knew that there'd be a shakeup with the points. Brian Littleton ended up with a middle of the pack finish. So as our points leader with a small points lead he had going into last week, we left last week Trey Radford's our new points leader, first new points leader in a while, as Brian Littleton was really holding on to that. But don't look back too far. Brian Littleton's only 1 point back. And then you go 2 points back, it's Travis Smith. And then you have Brian Mescal Jr. and Chris Spencer. So that top five's really tightened up and shaken up. And with a racetrack like tonight here at Darlington, it could even shake up even more after this race.
Yeah, and that pressure is ramping up because we can now see the end of the schedule off in the distance. And if we can see it, trust me, those drivers can see it. And that's, every mistake gets amplified when we get down to this point in the season. You lose a couple of spots here or worse, you get caught up in a wreck and end up either with a DNF or finishing back in the 20s. And next thing you know, your spot in the points could be jeopardized. You might lose a couple spots point-wise.
So looking at qualifying thus far, we've had 12 cars out on the track. Derek Myers just shot to the top of the charts. He was fast again last week. He would make his 4th career start here tonight, and 3 for 3 leading up to this. He's been fast and really made some moves where he could have pulled away with a victory at any of those 3 races. He only comes away with 1 top 5 from those 3 races, but he's got 77 laps led, and as mentioned, he's been up there battling for wins each and every week.
Yeah, he has, and really has come on here and shown that he's a force. And so far we've had different types of tracks too, and he keeps showing up and being very competitive in each one of those facilities. So I don't think this will be any different. This is just a different kind of challenge, but you're still going round and round in circles.
So he is currently atop the charts. This would be his first career Light Electric Company Linda Haney Memorial Pole Award if he could hang on. You can see your top 12 there that have made runs, but up top it's Myers, Ping, Brandon Medford, Brian Littleton, and Steve Baker, your top 5. So some usual cars up there as well. And as we've seen each and every week, there's about a half a dozen or a dozen cars that have not made qualifying runs. Sometimes it's they didn't get there early enough to get their run in. Others, they just don't make a run just to settle in the back and make their way up through the field. we've seen it kind of all over the place. After listening to our podium drivers last week, there's a lot of drivers that did not have this track circled on their schedule coming into 2022.
Yeah, this is one of the few NASCAR tracks that I have very limited experience in, and there's a reason why. And I think you're going to find probably the guys that love this track are probably in the minority here, but that doesn't change the fact that everybody's got to go out there and has the same task at hand here to see what they can get out of it. So, yeah, like you said, difficult track. So the favoritism with the drivers definitely goes down.
So drivers meetings currently going on. So in about 2 to 3 minutes, we'll be lining up for tonight's Southern Conservation Trust 150 presented by Hilton Photography. It's 110 laps around this 1.366 mile track. Darlington Raceway, too tough to tame. The Lady in Black, plenty of nicknames. You have turns 1 and 2 with 25-degree banking. Then you go into turns 3 and 4 with that pinched diameter that it has with 23 degrees of banking. Really gives you two completely different ends to handle. And watching practice, we saw troubles coming off of 2. We saw troubles coming off of 4. We saw troubles going into 1. So really all 4 corners have different difficulties and different things that you have to adjust for throughout the entire night.
Yeah, way back in what was it, 1959, I think, when they built this thing, there was an old kooky farmer that didn't want to get rid of his minnow pond. So we've got a very odd shape. It's more of an egg-shaped track, and yeah, even though you could be good over in one corner, the next corner is completely different. So you definitely like that. That all adds to the challenge. Tracks that have different radiuses and banking in different corners always presents a heck of a challenge.
The cool thing about Darlington for me is just all the history it has. Obviously, one of the oldest
Yes.
tracks in NASCAR. The start finish line is flip sides from time to time. For me growing up, I remember as a Jeff Gordon fan, he had a lot of success at Darlington, but they used to have that covered grandstands, which is over off of turn 2 now. It used to be off of turn 4, and it reminded me of almost like a fairground type setting of a covered grandstand at a NASCAR track.
See, now you're getting into my generation. I remember old Awesome Bill from down there from Georgia. He took $1 million prize, when the stands were over there, and I remember that was just the wildest thing, watching all the fake money fly through the air, and I remember Bill just having this look of this is just unreal on his face, and that was back when he and old Ernie Elliott there had that Thunderbird that was, I think, rumor has it was a little more narrow than his competition, so it was a little bit quicker. But hey, if you ain't if you ain't cheating, you're not trying. That was that era for sure.
Tell you what, so being down here in Georgia, we've drove through Dawsonville a couple times, and seeing those old shops that they worked out of up there, it still to this day blows my mind that that's where one of the best teams of the '80s was working out of compared to the types of shops that they all work out of now. It's pretty wild to see what it was like back then. And you had them down in Georgia, you had Bud Moore over in South Carolina. You had them kind of spread wherever their garage was located,
Yeah,
and just a
You had
different
the
time.
Petties. Yeah, the Petties had their own, and so did Leonard Wood, and yeah, they were nothing more than garages either. That wasn't too long ago. Pretty crazy.
So time is running down on our qualifying session. In about 20 seconds, it should wrap up. Derek Myers will take home his first Light Electric Company Next Gen Series Linda Haney Memorial Pole Award. So he's looking to be fast here again tonight, as he has been in his previous 3 races. He's a new addition to the series, came in mid season. So it'll be interesting to see what he's able to put together here the rest of this season. And then if he returns into 2022, he should have a really good basis set up of just competitiveness and understanding of where he's at in this series. And that wraps us up. We're about to get gridded for this Southern Conservation Trust 150. John, any last words you want to share with your thoughts on this race here tonight?
Buckle up. This is going to be an interesting ride. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Jags. She does all the, should I say, the points and all the, gives us all the stats. And we should probably give her a shout out because we use those stats an awful lot here on the broadcast. And just want to say thanks to Jags for doing all that.
Definitely. All our historical stats, all our current point standings, really anything that we can pull out of from the history or current is all coming from her. So definitely appreciate it on our end. And with that, John, I think we should get to our starting lineup for tonight's race.
Yep, and here we go. Right up on the pole is going to be the number 24 of Derek Myers. To his outside will be Dustin Ping. Starting in the second row is going to be Brandon Medford and Brian Littleton. Steve Baker will line up fifth with Chris Berg to his outside in sixth. Travis Smith will be seventh. Chris Spencer will be eighth. And then the ninth and 10th position, rounding out those top 10, will be Damian Patton in ninth and Nathan Bishop in 10th. And in 11th will be Lance Yancey. And the last one to take time is going to be Troy Radford there in the 12th position. Then after that, none of these guys clocked a time in, but we'll start here in 13th with Roy Hyde, our California winner. Next in will be Dylan Blankenship. Next row will be Jeff Stiles and Chris Meadows. And then after that, in the 17th will be Dustin German and Jimmy Hetrick in the 18th. Then it looks like... Got to click here and get my order in line here. Then Mike Massengill will be 19th, and Bobby Hetrick will be 20th, and Ryan Wilson and Ray Ratford will be rounding out our field here tonight.
Just because we've seen it all season long, John, when it comes to green flag pit stops or guys getting off cycle, what do you expect the different tire wear to do to the times and the cars tonight?
I think the tire wear is going to mean guys are going to have to back the corners up and be lifting a lot more. I'll be interested to see in a couple of the end cars. I know the Cup guys sometimes shift here. I know that some of the other series that are here shift here. So if they're having to slow down enough in the corners when the tires get wear into them, look for that maybe to happen. It may or may not. That'll be something I'll be looking for. But, then getting out of the corners, gassing it up, you're going to have to be easier on the throttle. I mean, it's going to affect literally everything you do here tonight, the tire wear.
So the cars are lined up. It's going to be Derek Myers, Dustin Ping leading us to green. The lights are off the iRacing pace car. We have the Geico restart zone in effect here tonight. So they'll go through the Blackhawk Motorsports restart zone throughout the evening. iRacing pace car dives onto pit road, and you can see right as they come off of turn 4 is that restart zone. And we are green at Darlington. High side off to a slow pace there. The 83 of Brandon Medford's able to jump up in front of Dustin Ping as they go through 1 and 2 for the first time tonight.
They didn't waste any time getting single file, as they are single file before they even get midway through the corner.
Single file throughout the pack. A few cars looking to the inside. As we mentioned, really feeling out what the cars are going to do here early in this race. 110 laps, so plenty of time. As you look throughout the entire field, it's all single file up alongside the wall.
Yeah, and that goes back to what we were talking about. These guys are smart. They adjust. They don't do anything too crazy early on for the most part. And that was just a sign of it. They were like, hey, we're going to get single file here pretty quick. Everybody wanted to make sure they didn't have anybody around them. And, when I say around them, I mean to their outside or inside, and just get these first laps in. But we got a battle for the lead now.
So Dustin Ping moves to the inside of Medford for second as they chase down Derek Myers up ahead. I feel like if you just set it out and get single file, John, you'll just attack it as I'm going to pick off one of these guys one by one as the opening comes up.
Well, yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the actual racing surface. I know as you go through the corner, you see all that asphalt. There's really only about 2 lanes worth of track that you use, and really only about 1.5 that's really fast. So, yeah, it's a heck of a lot easier to get them one by one. If you ever get a chance to go to Darlington, if you see it, you'll be amazed that those guys run on such a narrow surface.
So we watched Steve Baker also get past Brandon Medford. Brandon Medford looked for the crossover move at one point, but then settled back in line as the 66 of Chris Berg moves past Travis Smith for 6th.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the same type of passes, guys, just getting a little bit of a draft down the straightaway, going to the inside and once people seem to be getting to the inside of somebody, the other guy is kind of, I think I would say backing off just a little bit and letting them have it.
So they continue to make their way around. Settled in now. Derek Myers continues to lead. They're working lap 5 of 110 here at Darlington. And it went into right as we were talking about before this race, John, when a lot of guys were having practice issues of getting around the track and even completing one lap. We talked about how this could be a race that had some early cautions. We're 6 laps in, and everyone's going around. Everyone's facing the right way. No damage. Maybe a Darlington stripe here and there, but no major issues of getting through these corners.
Yeah, I've seen a couple guys kind of get a little loose off a corner, but they've gathered it back up and kept it straight and forward and going forward. But what I'm seeing is a lot of smart driving, just give and take. Hey, okay, you could be a little faster than me right now. You go right ahead and see what you can do. We got one car on pit road though.
Looks like Ryan Wilson's on pit road. Ray Radford is out as of right now, so don't know if he had issues getting going at the start of this race. And the 29 of Ryan Wilson, that was one that did have some issues in practice, so be interesting to see what maybe took him to pit road here early.
Yeah, I'll be honest, these guys have made, 7 laps going into lap 8 more laps than I did without fencing the car when I was just out there taking a few laps, so I'm impressed.
I know we talk about it each and every week, but what these guys are able to do and just racing around each other, race cleanly, really push each other, but do it in a clean way where they're able to click away laps at a fast rate. And as long as we're not at Martinsville, they're able to do that without that many cautions, really.
Yeah, it goes back to just like I said, they use their head. A lot of guys out here, they're smart. They know that hey, if you junk your car now, it's no good for you later, and then they race that way. It's pretty close to real life racing. I mean, guys know that they can't just junk their cars early on or fence them. They've got to take care of their equipment, and these guys each and every week race like that, and it puts on just phenomenal racing.
As you were talking about that, John, we watched Chris Berg get past Brandon Medford, and Berg slid up right in front of the 83, and the 83 backed off to give him the spot up, understanding that on lap 10, maybe not needing to push it. And as we watch Chris Berg, he gets into the wall. That'll get him down to the inside, and he is still trying to collect that as he moves down the backstretch with cars all over trying to get past him, but it looks like he'll settle back in as they go through 3 and 4.
Yeah, big moment there for him, and it took quite a while, and he lost several spots in the process, but he does have it going. It looks like there's a little bit of damage to the rear of that car maybe, so he's got to feel that out and see and make sure he can keep it together here now.
Saw to the right of the screen, Roy Hyde might have got into the wall there as well. So as mentioned, a majority of these guys are going to leave with a Darlington stripe most likely. So up front, it's Derek Myers. He's working turns 1 and 2 on lap 12 here. Dustin Ping holding steady, about a third of a second back. And then behind them, Steve Baker, all within a second of each other as they've kind of pulled away from the rest of the field here. Dustin Ping, a good run there. But Derek Myers really looking settled in, really consistent with his lap right now.
Yeah, and looking a little bit further back there, Chris Spencer just made a move, so he's kind of coming up through the field, and that's another guy. He's up to 7th now, but that's a guy we've seen in the past start a little deeper in the field and just seems to find his way to the front pretty quick on most of these.
The 77 right behind him, we've seen him run really well on some tracks as well. Maybe not the finishes that he deserves in a couple of them that I can think of, but he's moving up as well as a few cars now moving past that 51 of Damian Patton. That's to get inside the top 10. Chris Berg, one of those drivers, trying to move back up after falling back there with some contact.
Yeah, and we just had a change for second. Steve Baker there has moved up into second, made the pass going into turn 1. And again, the number 1, you saw him lift, and it was just basically, okay, Dustin Ping is like, okay, go for it. Run your tires off or whatever. very smart to just kind of not fight that kind of stuff early on.
So we will hop in with Dustin Ping, currently riding third with our Shake and Bake Blackhawk Motorsports in-car cam. You can see Derek Myers up ahead. He now is trying to chase down Steve Baker that got past him a couple laps ago. Working lap 15 of 110 here at Darlington Raceway. As always, appreciate you tuning in on your Sunday night. Always fun watching this series, and it should be another exciting action-packed night, as it's already had a lot of different changes throughout the field. And as mentioned, some of those guys that start back in the pack maybe don't take qualifying runs, use it as a place to just start in a safe spot and then work their way up as they continue to do so. Lance Yancey's are one of our hard chargers right now. He's up 3 spots, now up into 8th. Steve Baker, after starting 5th, he's our runner-up position as of right now, trying to chase down Derek Myers in that 24.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a battle between, close to our point leaders there with Travis Smith and Littleton running next to each other there on track. So those guys aren't only running for their spots, but, those are point rivals too.
Yeah, our point leader, Troy Radford, he qualified 12th. He was 12th of 12 of the guys that qualified and made runs. He's only moved up 1 spot, currently running 11th. I believe he was one that we talked to last week on the podium, and he was not looking forward to coming to Darlington. Almost a survive and advance weekend for some of these guys coming to South Carolina.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, when you go to a track like that where you're not a big fan of, usually you're okay, I'm not going to take any chances. I'll just, be patient. And however I come out of there, and you'll be good with it. Well, this is a track, actually, having that attitude can help you because, like I said, if you get greedy or try to get more going into a corner, you're up into the wall. If you get greedy on the exit, around you go. So just having that attitude of, hey, you know what, I'm going to take it easy here and then just get some laps in and try to finish, that might actually be very beneficial to him at the end of the night.
As really most of the cars around the track just settled in. See Nathan Bishop, he's running 10th, right where he started. A lot of movement around him, but he's been able to hold on to a top 10 spot. He made a good run last week. We watched him move up and down through the field. He was really on the same strategy as Steve Baker last week. And came away with a good finish.
I'd say Travis Smith is really putting some pressure now on Brandon Medford there for that 4th and 5th position there. And they're closing up on Ping too, so you're going to have a 3-car battle here.
So that's 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Dustin Ping, Medford, and the 9 of Travis Smith there. Travis Smith has a win earlier in the season. He won at Phoenix. Dustin Ping won early in the year as well. And Brandon Medford's one of those drivers that has been close, just hasn't been able to close it out yet this year. So he'll be hungry if he's up towards the front at the end of this 110-lap race as well.
Yeah, he's closed up on Ping now, almost right to his bumper here. So this should be interesting to see how patient. We're 22 laps in still early on here, so you still have a lot of time to be patient. But I'll tell you, those front 2 guys, they're getting further and further down the track from these guys.
As Brandon Medford makes a move right at the start-finish line on Dustin Ping, he's able to make the move. Travis Smith will follow him through as they go into Turn 1. That entering Turn 1 continues to be a favorite spot to make that move on that car in front of you.
Yeah, and I have to think Dustin Ping is tires are not holding up the way he wants, or he is trying to just take it really easy on them to make them last longer.
So looking at that, tires have fallen off about a second, maybe more for some of these guys out here. Running about 31 second 31.4s right now after some best times. We had a couple in the 29 seconds, but really low 30s was the place to be at the start of this race. And it'll be interesting. We've seen it all season long, John. Somebody will come in, a group of them will try to stay out. It opens up about a 10-lap window of green flag pit stops, and it really sets up the strategy for the remainder of the race.
It sure does, and this is a track where the undercut will work. So if you did pit a little bit earlier and was able to get out, you're going to make up some ground pretty quick. But that all comes around at the back end of that run when those other guys pit and then start running you back down. So we've seen it work both ways, and we'll just have to sit and watch how it unfolds here tonight.
So this time by, we will be 25 laps in. Out front, it's still Derek Myers. He stretched his lead on Steve Baker about 1.75 seconds. So tonight's Southern Conservation Trust 150 presented by Hilton Photography. Southern Conservation Trust is based in Georgia. It's a public charity that elevates nature through exceptional stewardship of over 65,000 acres of conserved land and public lands throughout the United States. You can visit sctlandtrust.org to learn more about that. And of course, thank you to the Hilton Photography for being the presenting sponsor of tonight's race.
You know, it's not that I root against these guys or I think that they're not good, because God knows I do think they're absolutely fantastic. They're great drivers all the way through the field. I can't tell you how impressed I am. We're 27 laps into this, and we're yet to see a caution. Just a complete reflection on this whole league.
Speaking of that, Chad Meadows just jumped down into the pits. So he was another guy that was struggling during practice session, may have had some more struggles here during this race. But yeah, we were watching the practice session, and we talked about maybe the guys were just really pushing it to the limit to see where that line is and where they could go without crossing it. But there was a lot of times where we couldn't even complete a lap with some of the guys, and it looked like it was just kind of getting on and off of the gas, entering the corners, and for them to find where that line is. But you got to think they're going to continue to press that limit as we count down the laps here at Darlington.
Yeah, and even during practice, even if you got guys around you, practice is different than racing. When you're actually out there racing each other, and it counts and you don't have that safety net, you've got to make decisions. It changes. I mean, practice is good. You get a feel with your car, feel of where those limits are. But to come out under race conditions and to do this is just incredibly impressive.
We'll ride along with Nathan Bishop, get in that Blackhawk Motorsports Shake and Bake in-car cam. Right now it's Brian Littleton in front of him running in 8th. Nathan's in 9th. He's got Lance Yancey right behind him in 10th. You can see they continue to try to chase down Chris Berg up ahead. This group's been together for a while now. Looks like they're just clicking out the laps. The other thing that I've noticed the last couple of weeks, John, is the teams have really made a point to pit together, stay together in packs, use each other to really stick together. You look at Blackhawk Motorsports, that includes Dustin Ping, Chris Berg, Mike Massengale, and the other one, Dirty Air Racing, which is Steve Baker, Lance Yancey, Brian Littleton, and Travis Smith. On a long race like this, where do those teams and those alliances come into play the most?
Well, guys can relay information. Hey, I'm running in this lane. It's working better for me. Or, hey, this lane's come in. You can give information real time. Hey, I'm lifting at this point. No, I can drive it in at this point. It really helps you kind of set what you want to do and helps you out because it gives you confidence. Okay, the car might be able to do these kinds of things. The other thing is, too, that when you run with your team, you can run nose to tail and, switch out that leader from time to time and end up making better fuel mileage because you got one guy pulling, the other guy's back in the draft a little bit. So there's a lot of different little things that running as a team can really, really be beneficial for.
After we jumped out of the in-car with Nathan, he made the move, got passed by Brian Littleton. He's pulled away as Lance Yancey's had some issues on trying to get past that 80. He'll fall back in line as Troy Radford races up on them. But don't look now. Second place battle has Brandon Medford moving past Steve Baker for second.
Yeah, I almost thought Steve was actually coming into pit right there, the way he slowed up on that corner entry. But I think maybe the handling is going away on that car too, as he's loose getting into one. Gets a nice run out of turn 2 here and able to really parlay that down the backstretch.
Brandon Medford's rebounded. He fell back early in this race. He's now made his way back up to second and appears to have a very fast car right now, as he's got some of the best times the last few laps, quite a bit faster than even the leader in front of him.
Yeah, he's running a very consistent line, doing the same thing lap after lap after lap, and that's what you need to do to be fast. You learn where to lift, you learn where to get back in the gas. You just start a dance with the car is basically what it is. Just get into a rhythm and makes those laps click off so much easier.
So out front, it continues to be Derek Myers. He's led the first 36 laps here in the Southern Conservation Trust 150 at Darlington. As you look back, Chris Spencer in fourth, Dustin Pink fifth, Travis Smith in sixth continue to shuffle through positions. And Chris Spencer's now up 4 spots, currently running fourth.
This track just seems so much different at night. You know, I remember this was one of the last super speedways to get lights, but it's just I'm just still amazed at looking at this track like this. I go back to what you were saying earlier. I remember the old covered grandstands and the hot afternoon on Labor Day to watch the Southern 500 and all that kind of good stuff. So kind of neat, just having a moment and being a little nostalgic now.
No, it's one of those tracks I haven't been to. It's definitely on the list, but thinking of the old Labor Day races, I also think of, especially the last few weeks, the Firecracker 400, when it used to be ran on the 4th no matter what. So you'd have that midweek race at Daytona during the day. It's TV obviously it brings a lot of money to the sports, but it takes away some of those weird things we had growing up when it came to sports as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, though, it's still the same old hungry girl, the lady in black. I've been singing the praises, and I hate to sound like a complete homer, but man, these guys were 39 laps in. I got a feeling that pit stops are going to be off in the not too distant future, but pit road is not easy to get in and on and off of, so keep an eye out for that. But to go 39 laps, caution free.
Here comes Baker.
Guess he heard me.
He's pulling the John Hine strategy out for pitting tonight. And he's coming alone, it looks like, John.
Yeah, he is, and it'll be neat to see what his lap times are when he comes back out, and see if some people respond. See some of the guys in front of him now decide to pit, so that undercut doesn't work as well.
So this time by it was Steve Baker in the 55 and Dustin German making his first Light Electric Company NextGen Series start. So they're the first ones. This time 3 more dive onto pit road. So our typical 10 to 12 lap window for green flag pit stops has definitely opened up.
Yeah, and guys are taking, and so far everybody's gotten in. That pit road is tricky because you're in the banking here, and then you turn. I mean, just a sharp turn down, and if you're not careful, you're either going to lose the back end or you're going to miss the actual opening of pit road and end up on the wrong side of that pit wall.
So watching him cycle through, Steve Baker's out. He's currently running 16th. Derek Myers is still out there. We've seen him the last month that he's been in the series. He's one that will press that and go as long as he can to stay out and then use that to his advantage. As we mentioned, it hasn't caused him to pick up a win yet, but he has been there at the end of a lot of these races and at least has the chance to.
Yep, and third place, Chris Spencer dives it on the pit road. So they're slowly cycling through this one.
So Steve Baker is now back out on the track. We'll see. He is waiting to make his first lap under full speed to see where he stands out. And he ran a 30.41, John, which is about 2 seconds faster than the leader.
Yep. You get 5, 6, 7 laps, that's 10 seconds on track, and that's absolutely huge.
So out front, it's still Derek Myers. He leads Brandon Medford, Dustin Ping, Travis Smith, Chris Berg. Those are your top 5. As now there's about 7 cars out there that have yet to pit, as 4 more dive onto pit road. And here comes our leader this time by. He comes in hot.
Boy, that was a heck of a dive on the pit road for him. He made up ground on everybody else just for that pit entry.
So Brandon Medford will take over the lead on lap 44. Derek Myers leads 1 through 43 to get this race underway. So now it looks like 6 cars yet to pit. And it'll be interesting to see where Derek Myers comes off in relation to the Steve Baker machine.
Yeah, I think he had a big enough lead on Baker that if he does, she should come out in front of him, but probably that distance between them is going to be a heck of a lot closer than when Baker initially pitted.
So the lead now goes over to Dustin Ping, but he has Travis Smith not that far behind him.
Yeah, and Baker had fallen a bit a ways back, is now really, I don't know, maybe a little less than half a straightaway behind him. So he did close some ground there. He'd even be closer if Myers didn't get that pit entry that he got. He by far was the most aggressive as far as getting onto pit road.
So looking, yeah, Steve Baker's about 1.5 seconds behind. So he was able to pick up about 2/10 with those fresher tires for a couple of laps.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Myers probably picked up a good half a second, if not a full second on that pit entry. I mean, that was impressive.
So a lot of movement on the track right now. We'll see if they're able to get through these green flag pit stops cleanly. We've got 5 cars, your top 5, Ping, Smith, Berg, Hyde, and Massengale. Those are the 5 that have not pitted yet. Looking at the guys that have pitted, John, Lance Yancey, he's currently would be running 3rd of the cars that have pitted. Great pit stop for him. Chris Spencer as well. It looks like Brandon Medford was the one that struggled possibly at some point getting on or off pit road, as he's fallen back to about 6th of the cars that have pitted.
Yeah, and Derek Myers has gotten into a heck of a lot of traffic here, and it's holding him up, and Baker is closed up, but he's got that same traffic to get through.
And it's the cars that are currently yet to pit that are leading this race. So Myers trying to get his lap back here on Ping on his own, which he will do. But you can see Steve Baker's closed it up and is getting through that pack a little bit cleaner now that he has Myers to follow through there.
Yeah, and that closed the gap up. Now that Myers is back out in clean air, though, I expect that to widen back out.
As Baker now moves to the inside of Ping. So Ping there, the 9. Travis Smith will shoot to the inside of Ping, take over the lead. You got to think staying out there, at some point you want to come in, but when you're in a pack of cars like that, that's a hard spot to dive onto pit road under green flag conditions.
It is, but in the same token here, look at the distance that Myers already got from that pack. These guys are going to pit and end up losing a lap by staying out this long now. So I think there's a diminishing return here, I think, a little bit on waiting this long. But if they can wait it out for a good while longer, I guess they will come back out with some really fresh tires. There they come in now. A couple of them anyway.
Well, and they were getting close. You were about to wonder if they stayed out another 5-6 laps, they could make it to the end here.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's not going to be worth that gamble, as some new Goodyear tires will be worth coming down pit road now on lap 52, as now it's just two, Chris Berg and Roy Hyde yet to pit. And you've got to think that with Derek Myers chasing them down now, they'll be headed to pit road here soon.
Yeah, and Baker, who came out, we saw him run a 30-44 out there. So he's already at 30-78 this last lap. So he's already lost 0.3 of a second just putting those laps on the tires. So those guys will have a little bit of a benefit, but I do think at some point they'll equalize to where they're both about the same.
So Chris Berg's come to pit road this time. That hands the lead over to Roy Hyde. Roy Hyde won earlier this year at Auto Club Speedway, as he will be the last one out. And I guess our last possible taker at trying to make this on one stop.
Yeah, and right now, looking at a caution would get them there, I think. If they get a caution, and definitely if they get two, I think that they probably could make it the rest of the way without having to stop again. But if it all bunches back up and he's out there on 50-lap-old tires, he's going to get smoked.
So looking at it, he is almost 2 seconds slower than some of the other guys that are coming up to him. As you can see, Nathan Bishop, who's currently running 15th, makes his move, and easy work on Hyde, as Hyde is the lone driver out there left to pit in that 0-0. And then looking back, you got Derek Myers. He's now almost got a 4-second lead on Steve Baker. So just that 24 is hooked up here for Darlington tonight.
Yeah, and we probably should mention now, too, that we've gone a long time here, 55 laps under green flag. It takes an immense amount of concentration to get around here like what Myers is doing. He's not running but a foot or two off that wall. Somewhere, and I know it sounds crazy, but fatigue, could set in here. If you have just a small mental gaffe, that can put you in the wall pretty easy here. So these guys, even though they've been running here for a while, I've got to imagine there's probably some strain now, probably for some guys throughout the pack.
So Roy Hyde makes his way down pit road. That means we have cycled through and looking, that went from lap 39 is when Steve Baker was the first taker to lap 55 when Roy Hyde came down and was our last. So a huge green flag pit stop window there. And looking through, if this continues the way they're stretched out, John, and there looks to be some contact coming out of 4.
Yeah, well, yeah, Massengill actually went pretty hard into the wall there.
So our Willis Landscaping caution, we'll take a look at the 4 machine, saw it in the back of the camera. Looks like the 66 of Berg got into the rear of him. They're coming off a 2. And that'll bring out our first Willis Landscaping caution flag of the night.
Yeah, a little better run than probably what he anticipated. Got into the back there, the number 4 car there. But I tell you, right now, Roy Hyde is cussing. He's like, man, why couldn't that be a lap or so before that? But here's the big question. A lot of these guys just pitted. Do you come back in and pit now knowing that you could probably make it to the end? Or do you stay out and try to run these tires a little longer?
Leaders are coming down pit road.
Oh, there you go. I have to say that's probably the route I would have taken too. So,
and ladies and gentlemen, John Hine is on his pit strategy game tonight here at Darlington. Notre Dame type calls. You called Steve Baker coming in as he was about to enter. And then it looks like a majority of the field, some of those guys that did stay out and were in the back half of the top 20 look to stay out, John.
Well, and that goes back to what I was saying. If some of those guys that pitted, let's just say like after lap 50, they're going to be really close on fuel here. They don't have a lot of laps on their tires. One more caution, I would say they're probably going to be right on that number to make it here. So I get the call not to come in. I mean, they're not going to be that much slower, only having 5 or 6 laps on the tires. Why not get that track position and see what your car can do?
So it looks like Travis Smith is currently listed as the leader. And we'll let this cycle around because it's really, the top 10's really shaken up right now. So we'll see how they come out after some pit stops are made as well.
Yeah, because Travis Smith is the second car behind the pace car. Chris Berg, we look here, Berg is a lap down. Nathan Bishop is a lap down. So both of those guys could, in fact, I don't see Nathan out, would have been eligible for the lucky dog. So Berg is going to be eligible for that lucky dog. He'll come around, and I think that will cycle Travis up to the lead, I think. Well, now Berg's dropping back. I guess he did not get the wave around.
So a lot of action out there. Chris Berg's listed 2 laps down right now.
And Dustin Ping just pulled it into the pits, evidently, right to the trailer. He's even disconnected from the race.
So a lot going on
and
now.
Ping was running second. Wow.
So the first caution comes out here at Darlington.
I hope
a lot of
everything
weird
is
stuff.
Okay, there. Sorry.
No, you're good. A lot of weird stuff starts happening once that first caution comes out.
Yeah, and this is where, racing in the virtual world can get you. Connections could go down. I know some areas of the country are having some pretty, nasty storms and stuff. And we hope the best for Dustin and just hope it was just a case that he had to go somewhere.
So it will be Travis Smith. Derek Myers is second with the fresh tires there. Chris Spencer lines up third, Lance Yancey fourth, Brandon Medford in fifth. So that'll be your top 5. Steve Baker now sitting back there in ninth. So they'll make their way around this time by. We'll head into the Blackhawk Motorsports restart zone and get this back to green at Darlington.
Well, they're a little lined up, a little awkward here. Well, now the 11 pulls up.
Still shuffling through positions as they go through 3 and 4. They'll enter the Blackhawk Motorsports restart zone. And we are back to green. Travis Smith will shoot out with Derek Myers right behind him. That outside line again struggles with that inside car having control of the restart. And now working lap 62 of 110 here at Darlington. It's Travis Smith out front.
For a lot of these guys, this is as close as anybody's been out their front windshield for probably a little bit of time here. So if they got the ability to pass, you're going to see guys probably try to push it a little bit to try to get a couple spots here.
Well, and you can see that 99 of Dustin German. He's making his first career start in the series. Moves past Brian Littleton. That moves him up 9 spots. He's now running 8th. A great debut so far for him at Darlington.
Yeah, it is, and this isn't the easiest track to make your debut on, and he's done a well of a job here, and to keep the fenders on it and be running up with the faster guys.
So out front, Travis Smith continues to lead Derek Myers. Derek Myers led the first 43 laps. After we cycled around, got back out front for a handful, and now he's trying to chase down the 9 to get back there in P1. As the laps continue to tick away here at Darlington, 64 laps down this time by.
Yeah, and last time coming out of turn 2, Lance Yancey had a huge Code Brown moment. I don't know how he saved that car. He just wrecked without hitting anything, but he's going the right direction and is now behind the Radford, the 94 Radford.
As Derek Myers will retake the lead from Travis Smith. And now Chris Spencer running third looks to move and pounce on that 9 machine as well.
Yeah, I've been watching that 11 car. He has got some pace to him, and that car seems to do pretty much whatever he wants it to do. Run low, run high, and there he is with a nice little slide job into one. Um, he's. I'm going to be real interested to see if he can run down that 24 car.
Well, now behind the 9 of Smith, you've got the 83 of Brandon Medford and the 55 of Steve Baker, 2 of the faster cars all night as well. So really the cream is starting to rise to the top as we get into the second half of this race.
Yeah, and here the risk and everything goes up because these guys are now racing each other. We saw a single file for the most part, but now they're starting to get a little more side by side down the front stretch. But that passing zone, if you will, going into turn 1 still seems to be the choice, the guy's choice to make the pass at.
As Travis Smith was able to get past the Spencer machine, move back into second, and Derek Myers has to be loving this as he just continues to ride out front.
Yeah, he continues to be the class of the field by far here, and is just stretching that lead with every passing moment on the track here. Just nobody seems to have an answer for him.
As we ride around with Brandon Medford, he's currently riding fourth. He's got Chris Spencer in front of him, Travis Smith up ahead there, and then the leader of Derek Myers you can see as well, as we will ride around with him in our Blackhawk Motorsports Shake and Bake in-car cam. He gets into the wall coming off of 4. That'll slow down his momentum as Baker moves to the inside.
Yeah, moves Baker into 4th, moves him back to 5th, but he did a nice job of not losing any more of that because the 99 is right behind him too, of Garmin. So tough place to be in here. You don't want to make any mistakes, but you do want to try to be aggressive to try to move forward a little bit.
As Baker moved past Brandon Medford, you could see a little Darlington stripe on that 55 as well. As we mentioned, I bet there's going to be a lot of cars over here with some work needed done on that right side. As it looks like that the top 10, John, are all pretty tight. They're all single file around the outside, but they're still all running nose to tail with some jumping out to make passes, but really sticking together this green flag run.
Yeah, and I was also noticing Myers hasn't run away like he has. Travis Smith is maintaining that gap between the first and second car here, so that's the first time we've seen him just drive off from everybody.
So some movement in that top 10. We saw the 99 trying to get by Brandon Medford. He slipped up. That took him into the clutches of Littleton. Another good run for Littleton. He's 1 point back of Troy Radford, who's currently 2 spots behind him. But that top of the standings continues to be tight, with really majority of them running into the top 10 as we speak.
These guys have raced with each other. I don't know how many races in now we are, and seasons past. These guys, they know how to race each other, and they can get away with running like this. So they can run nose to tail and not get into each other too often, and it's just it's really cool to see. But the talent level, though, between the top to the bottom is so close here that's what really keeps them together.
Well, and it's another long green flag run here. Before we know it, we're going to be down to about 30 laps to go.
And we also know that last round of pit stops, guys don't need to pit, but the one guy who didn't was Travis Smith. So it'll be interesting to see if he, in fact, has enough to get him to the end. And he might be just slowing up a bit also now to do that very thing is try to save some fuel.
So running up front is that 24 of Derek Myers, currently leading over Chris Spencer, as he's got about a 0.7 of a second lead currently over Spencer. Steve Baker running third, Travis Smith running fourth.
Yeah, now Meyer has started to walk away a little bit from the field, but he does have a lap car up the track from him here. So we got another one on, two of them on the apron, one all the way down at the bottom and one up on the track here. That's Massengill, who we saw the number 4 there take that hard shot just a few minutes ago on that inside back straightaway wall.
Looks like he's got Damian Patton up ahead of him. Damian's currently 4 laps down. As they continue to tick away the laps here at Darlington. Travis Smith in that 9 battling the 99 as they get stacked up there behind him. And when you brought up Travis Smith pitting sooner than some of these guys, he was running very similar laps. Since you brought that up, he has slowed down, so it could be intentional, but you can definitely see the amount of ground he is losing on the leaders if it is, as he gets into the 5. And Troy Radford, our points leader, is going to get caught up in that one as well.
Yeah, the 5 moved up and wasn't quite clear yet, and I don't see a caution yet.
And they will stay green. They all appear to be moving.
Wow.
As Travis Smith, Radford, and Blankenship. And we will stay green as they work lap 78 out front. As those 3 cars look to rebound here. Not the kind of run here at about 32 laps to go that they were looking for.
Yeah, and that lack of a caution is going to just be killer for those guys. Radford's coming into the pits, so he'll lose a lap, if not more. Tough break for the point leader. That's like 2 weeks in a row now where you're leading the points. You've had some problems.
It'll definitely shake things up. Looking ahead, Travis Smith was currently 3rd, 2 points behind Troy Radford. He's held on to his spot. He's currently running 9th after that contact. Brian Littleton is up to 6th. Brian Mescal Jr., who's 4th and a little bit back, he's taken his provisional tonight. And then you have Chris Spencer, who was 44 points back entering tonight. He's currently running 2nd, so he's got to be feeling good about the amount of spots he could gain if he can hold on to his current position, or even better by 1.
Absolutely. I hope he's aware of it, and I'm sure he probably is. So he knows now. The opportunities to take chances, I think if you're in that 11 car, go way down here. I think right now you're in a really good spot. You're on a race. You're still going to race fairly hard, but you're not putting yourself in any positions if you're in his shoes.
And he and Baker, who are running 2nd and 3rd, are making huge gains on the leader of Myers right now. They've almost gotten that lead completely gone, as they're about 0.2 faster than the leader right now.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if something's going on with the leader there. I'm pretty sure he should have enough fuel to go the distance here. I don't know if tires are falling off more, or if he's just trying to pace himself just in case we have a green-white checker. There could be a lot of reasons, because he's been so strong the whole race, and I haven't seen anybody have an answer until now. Where these guys have reeled him back in.
So the 24 of Derek Myers, he is making his 4th career Light Electric Company NextGen Series start. 1 top 5, 77 laps led leading into tonight. He's added quite a few to that list tonight. Picked up his first Linda Haney Memorial Pole Award tonight, looking to pick up his first career win in the series. But Chris Spencer and Steve Baker are not going to make it easy on him, as they will complete lap 83 this time by, and really getting down to crunch time here at Darlington, John.
Yeah, they sure are. They're clicking them off pretty quick here, and that tends to happen when you don't have any cautions.
So you can see the front 4 have really pulled away from the rest of the field, as Brandon Medford is now entering the picture with the top 3. And it's really the top four cars have been the fastest four cars all night long, with maybe the exception of Herman and Yancey, but they're still back there running sixth and seventh. They just haven't had the time to make up all the ground. And we saw that almost caution a few laps ago. That would have really bunched it up and made it interesting here, as we've now got 26 laps to go.
Yeah, and I keep watching this battle up here for the lead, and it just, the furthest is about as close as I've seen anybody to Myers the entire race, especially after a long run.
That last time Myers ran a little bit faster than Spencer, which hadn't been the case, as he was about a tenth slower that time by. So it looks like Derek might be really struggling, looking like he made it through 1 and 2 good there. Maybe a little ground made up by Spencer down the backstretch, but it looks like 3 and 4 is where Spencer makes up most his ground on the leader.
Yeah, and the top two now have separated themselves a little bit from the 55 and Steve Baker.
And it looks like Derek Myers' times have picked up, so he may have just been letting off, as you mentioned, John, as he's starting to open up that gap a little bit on Chris Spencer now, about 4/10. And as you mentioned, Baker continues to fall back behind these top two a little bit more each lap. But here at Darlington, as we've seen all night long, a lot can happen, as we've had our one caution, our one Willis Landscaping caution on lap 57, as they continue to work the laps here in South Carolina.
Yeah, the other thing I can think Myers is doing is something that I do when I race. If they have relatives in there, so the drivers are aware of how close somebody is behind them, and I look at that a lot, and I start managing a gap if I'm in a longer race, or even if I'm in a dirt race. If I got a couple 2-3 second lead on somebody, I might give a little bit of that up so I don't, take chances or whatever. I might not be running right up against the wall where it's sure it's a little faster, but I can afford to give a little bit up. Maybe that's what he's doing here, because his lap times, like you said, have kind of recovered here, and that gap's starting to ever so slightly stabilize and maybe even stretch out a little. And Baker's coming back into the picture here too with these guys.
So the top 6 all last pitted on lap 58. So that caution really bunched it up and equalized the lap since pitted, as we've got 9 cars on the lead lap. Looking through the field here, we've got Derek Myers in first, Chris Spencer riding second there, Steve Baker in third behind him. Back and forth, you've got the 83 machine of Brandon Medford. Fifth, you have Brian Littleton, a good top 5 run for him. Dustin German in sixth, making his debut. He's up 11 spots from his 17th place starting position. Roy Hyde, a nice run for him, as he's currently running 7th. Jimmy Hedrick into the top 10, running 8th. Dylan Blankenship in 9th, rebounding from that contact he had a few laps ago. And then rounding out your top 10, where he started, and I think where he's ran all night long, is that number 27 of Nathan Bishop.
Yeah, remember, Bishop is the one that stayed out, so, we figured he might have been backing up there just to conserve fuel, so it'll be interesting to see if he can make it all the way to the end here.
As Spencer has picked up some space on Derek Myers now, it's down to about 2/10, a great 3 and 4 run there for Spencer, as he continues to close that gap up on Myers, but is unable to get all the way up to him to make a move. We'll see if he has anything for that 24 with now 18 laps to go.
Yeah, and we talk strategies all the time. Well, Chris Spencer is sitting there second. He can push the 24 Meyer just enough for the Myers is actually using more tire and actually having to abuse his tires just a little bit more to stay in front, maybe. So it's all possible. Chris Spencer's just happy sitting back there. He's getting a little bit of a tow, so he's saving gas. And oh, now he's into the wall just a little bit. Not a big deal, but he could be saving fuel and saving his equipment just riding there like that.
We'll jump in alongside Chris Spencer in that 11 machine. Made up another good run. He's really beating Myers in 3 and 4. That's where he is really making his gains, as it's pretty even around 1 and 2 and down the backstretch, but in 3 and 4, Spencer is much better right now than Myers.
And remember, that's so important because we have seen most of the passing down at turn 1. So if you get that run through 3 and 4, where Spencer seems to be a little bit better, can get to the inside of Meyer down the front stretch, he can pull that Darlington slide job down there in 1. Oh, there's pushing. He is pushing it. You see the back end get a little bit out.
So you can see he loses a little bit of ground there. His interval still about 0.25 seconds.
Yeah, but he's driving right back up to him. Every time he loses a little ground or Myers gets a little bit out there, Spencer pulls back in there. So I got a feeling he's saving something for the tank. I mean, we're at lap 96. We're getting down to it here. We're going to have lap traffic too.
14 laps to go now for Derek Myers as he tries to hold on for his first career win. He's got Chris Spencer behind him.
Whoa!
He almost gets into Blankenship there coming out of 2. Chris Spencer making his 40th career start, still looking for his first career win here in the Light Electric Company NextGen Series. So of the top 2, no wins in the series, so both of them are hungry. But it looks like Spencer's fallen off the pace a little bit there. Now that lead for Myers up to about 7/10.
Yeah, maybe it was Meyer after all, the one holding his feather or his cards close to the table here. But this is an incredible cat and mouse game that we're watching between these two drivers.
And Spencer really pushing it. He taps that outside wall again in 3 and 4. Understanding that it is go time now with a dozen laps to go.
Yeah, and with that kind of space between them now it's going to be really hard, and he's going to have to stay really disciplined. But Chris Spencer cannot afford to be overdriving these corners and getting into the wall, really angering that right front tire, the whole 9 yards. If he does that, he's never going to catch the 24.
Really a dominating performance by Derek Myers tonight. He's led 3 different times throughout the night. Now really pushing about over 80 laps led, as he will have 10 laps to go and be 10 laps around, or 10 laps at Darlington away from his first career victory.
And it's right about now, if that's being the case, being his first victory, everything else is, your heart beats a little faster, your hands might shake a little bit. I don't know what kind of experience he's had. I'm sure a lot of it, the way he's driving, but so I'm sure he's been in this position elsewhere before, but it's still your first one here, and I bet you his nerves are a little bit higher than what they've been the rest of the night. And he's definitely doing the no caution dance. That's the last thing he wants to see right now.
Well, he will have 9 laps to go this time by, as he's looking to click those laps away as fast as possible, as he's now got about 9/10 of a second lead over Chris Spencer, so a little gap there. Clean air in front of him. So in his 4th series start, obviously made his presence known in his previous 3 starts, but really dominating as the series comes to Darlington, South Carolina, at the difficult Darlington Raceway. And he continues to set the pace for this field. There'll be 7 laps to go this time by for Derek Myers.
7 laps, and I'm sure for him that seems like an eternity. But you know, the thing is, he doesn't want to see a caution, and now he sees 2 cars out his windshield. That can make you nervous too. You don't want one of those guys to maybe lose it or something, and you know, all of a sudden you become a wreck on a wreck. So a lot going on for him right now, a lot to worry about, a lot to pay attention to. The 11 now, you know, is back there saying, okay, yeah, get to those guys, and hopefully they hold him up so he can have another shot at it. So there's a whole lot still at play here, even though we're down to 6 now. A lot can still happen.
You can see Damian Patton enter the picture here. Looks like Myers should get to his bumper down the backstretch. Probably setting up a move to get past him on the front stretch. We'll see how the timing of when you hit these lap cars, which it will slow him down coming off a 4.
He had to check up big time. Look at that gap close. Wow.
So that closes that gap down to less than half a second for Spencer. Spencer continues to press hard. As
he gets loose coming out of that corner. You know he's driving it for all it's worth.
And with that, this time by, it'll be 4 laps to go in our Southern Conservation Trust 150, presented by Hilton Photography here at Darlington Raceway. As that lead is back stabilized, it's about 7/10, but you can see lap cars still in the picture ahead of Myers.
I think Myers might be content to sit behind these guys unless Spencer can draw up on them. After what had just happened there, he almost got in a wreck a second ago because he had to check up for somebody, almost ran into the back of him. He's probably real leery about pulling up on anybody at this point.
Well, next up is that Lance Yancey machine. He's currently 2 laps down in 12th. As Myers now gets up to him and Troy Radford as they go through the corner. Both of them will dive to the inside, get out of the way of Myers. As Chris Spencer now falls back 1.3 seconds. Really pushed as much as he had. Left it all out there, John. It just doesn't look like it's going to be enough, as we will make one more half of a lap, and the 24 Myers will take the white flag here at Darlington.
Gets out of turn 4 here cleanly, and that flag is in the air as he crosses the start-finish line to begin that final lap.
He will make it through the long sweeping corners of 1 and 2, head down the Boeing backstretch here at Darlington Raceway. In just his 4th career light electric company NextGen Series start, in dominating fashion tonight at the Lady in Black, it's going to be the number 24 of Derek Myers picking up his first career NextGen Series victory over Chris Spencer and Steve Baker. An impressive run by all, John, as we have 1 caution on lap 57. Other than that, we were green, and it's going to be Derek Myers picking up the win.
Yeah, that was very seriously a dominating victory. We don't see this very often, but as he crossed the start-finish line there to take the checkered flag, 8th place was in front of him, so he had lapped all the way up to 8, and I don't remember a race we've done where that many guys went a lap down over a course of a night.
And you can see Spencer, Baker, Brandon Medford all give him a little love tap there as he will come to the front stretch and surely celebrate his first victory in the series. And what a place to pick up that first career win.
Yeah, that's going to be a job well done, and I'm sure as soon as he gets pulled in and stopped, first thing he's going to want to do is take a big old drink of water and take a deep breath. What a great feat of concentration and car control and everything else. I mean, he led 93 of the 110 laps tonight. The only time he wasn't in the lead was during that pit cycle. Incredible, incredible performance.
So he will pull into Century Victory Lane for the first time in his career here in the Light Electric Company NextGen series. As always, we'll interview the top 3 finishers. It's going to be Steve Baker in third, Chris Spencer in second, and Derek Myers, your winner. And John, it looks like you have our third place finisher.
Yeah, Steve, this is John. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys. How's it going?
Not too bad, man. Tell me, how was it? How hard was it to keep your concentration level up long enough not to hit that wall or get it loose coming out of the corners to run all 110 tonight?
Well, I wish I could tell you. I hit the wall several times.
Well, hit it hard enough to really cause yourself a problem.
Yeah, it was tough, man. The initial time I hit it, I barely looked down for just a split second to adjust braking point and slammed it. So lucky to be able to stop and get that damage repaired a bit, but it was tough out there. Pretty slick. Tire fall off was pretty significant, and but the main thing was I felt like everybody was just being really respectful to the other drivers when everybody had runs, and for a Darlington race, couldn't ask for much better from a group. So really hats off to the field for a pretty clean night, and it was a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, it was obvious from the get-go the level of respect that was being paid to one another out there. But let me ask you though, there's no way that you were expecting just one caution for the night, though, correct?
I mean, going in, you always want the lowest amount as possible.
Sure.
But yeah, Darlington is kind of a wild card.
What I was getting at is because you were one of the first to pit road early on there. Did the only one caution there kind of mess your what your game plan was then?
Not too much. I was still trying to break it in even stints, and I figured with the 45 seconds of damage I had accrued early just to try and take advantage of new tires when I could. But then, like you said, we got the yellow. I was able to come back down and repair it a bit. So it didn't really throw me off. I did have to go to the back of the field, but like I said, it was super clean racing out there. So a lot of fun, pretty much all race.
I tell you, I was impressed with the field from the back. What a great drive for you tonight. Who would you like to give a shout out to for your podium?
Yeah, just shout out to the drivers that come out every week to make this league what it is. You guys for the broadcasts and everybody that helps week in and week out, from all the admins and just every group member. I really appreciate all the sponsors and drivers and everyone who puts on the show. So look to have a good race again next week.
Yeah, next week we're headed to Nashville Super Speedway. Just real quick, what are your thoughts about that track, and what are your prospects, do you think?
It's the first time I've ever run it in a league season, so looking forward to going somewhere relatively new to me. So, but yeah, just got to get in some practice. I've run it a handful of times, so it's a fun track, and yeah, hopefully we show up and have a good run, and again, hopefully we have one or less cautions next week too.
Well, congratulations again, Steve, on a great third place finish. We'll see you next week. We hope you have a great week. That's Steve Baker, the number 55, brings her home third tonight.
Thanks.
Now joining us, our second place finisher of Chris Spencer. Chris at Travis up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, so great finish there. Great battle with you and Derek up front. Could you kind of walk us through that battle for the lead there, that last 25 laps?
Well, first off, Derek was just untouchable tonight. I got lucky with the pit strategy. And, happy it stayed green. I was expecting more caution, so very, very happy it stayed green. Darlington's one of our better trucks. I was catching Derek a little bit there, and once I got behind him, it was a wrap. He's just getting off the corner just so damn good. Like I don't know what he was doing, but I could not get off the corner that way. But great run overall for Smoke Show Racing. That's 1, 2, 3. Steve over there as well. The paint scheme tonight was the throwback paint scheme for Smoke Show Racing, Jerry West, Steve Baker, Derek Myers, Dustin Jermaine, the whole team. Just a great run tonight.
So we were kind of watching your cat and mouse game there at the end. Was there anything you or Derek were doing? It looked like you might have been a little bit better in 3 and 4. Was Derek coming back to you? Were you just making some gains there towards the end? What was kind of going on between the two of you there as that gap would ebb and flow really the last 30 laps?
If I was ever quicker than him, I think I could match him for a few laps. For a while there, I don't know if he got tight or what was going on. Maybe he was just saving. I was able to run down there, catch up to him. But once I got behind him, it was kind of over. I got a little tight there, and I started overdriving a little bit. And once you got on those old tires, it was just so slick coming off the corner, so couldn't really do much there. So it was kind of just hoping he made a mistake or got caught in that lap traffic and messed up there.
Well, it was a great battle. It was a lot of fun for us to watch you two battle for the win here at Darlington. Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to tonight, Chris?
Chris Overless, the NextGen series, SOTV, Extreme Esports, SM Racing TV, just everyone, just again, great racing tonight. Just shows the skill level in this league, and just I enjoyed doing it, and hopefully for a few more seasons as well.
Well, great run tonight, Chris. That battle between you both looking for first career victories here in the series. We've got to think your win is coming soon, and we won't be. We're excited to see when that time finally comes.
Yeah, I got two, so I do have 2 wins. I was hoping to get one there, not on some type of strategy, just flat out outdrive Derek there, but he had to beat.
Well, great run, Chris. We will see you next week at Nashville.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it.
And now, John, joining us from Century Victory Lane, tonight's winner, Derek Myers.
Hey, Derek, this is John. You have a copy?
I got you, John.
Well, that was dominant. 93 laps led tonight. The only time I don't think you were up front was right around that pit cycle. Tell me, from your point of view, that's how much fun was that?
Man, I knew when we landed in Darlington, that's one of my favorite tracks, and you got to race the racetrack, and that's what I did tonight. We qualified up front, got my first pole ever in the league, and I knew if I could get the pole, I could race the racetrack, and my tire wear was good all night. I liked that long green flag run. I didn't stay out too late this time. I made sure to pit kind of along where everyone else was, and no green white checkers or anything, no tire situations. The race went smooth for us, and it's awesome to get a win. It feels so good.
Well, those last 15, 20 laps or so, I noticed the gap between you and Spencer would stabilize, then you would stretch it a little bit, then he would, kind of pull back to you. Was that just a case of you managing the tires, or you just kind of managing the gap? Or could you just drive away at any time if you truly wanted to?
So I picked a level that I kind of like, I picked a level that I wouldn't burn my tires off. I wasn't going 100%, but I was going, and I wanted to go at least quick enough to stay in front of him. It's hard to get a pass done here. If he would have gotten like right up on my rear bumper, I would have picked it up a little bit, but I was going pretty fast. I nearly got in the wall a few times. Didn't hit the wall all night, which is a big deal here. You want to keep your car clean. And Chris is a teammate, so I know he's going to race me clean and very respectful, just like everyone in this league. But I kept him at a good spot there in the back, within a second. If he would have gotten a little closer, I would have picked it up for sure, but it worked out.
Well, and the part of the broadcast, Travis had asked me about, having teammates and running out there with them. What kind of information were you guys sharing with each other through the last parts of the race? Were you given any kind of, hey, this is where I'm running or what I'm doing? You don't have to tell us what it was, but were you given any information like that back and forth?
Yeah, so Dustin German, he finished 6th. He's one of our teammates also. We're all in this, same TeamSpeak chat. The radios were pretty quiet, especially when Chris, man, he gets real quiet when he's focusing, and I could tell he was on the wheel. He was beating me in 3 and 4 coming out of the corner. He found something over there to get some good runs on me, and 1 and 2, I felt like I was a little bit better, so it kind of equaled out there. But he made me work for it tonight, and we talk a little bit. We were talking about tire wear and when we were gonna pit, but we don't give all our secrets away.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious because I thought it was a good question. I know when I've run with teammates or whatever, that pit strategy, we line up for that kind of stuff. And sometimes if a track changes or whatever, we talk about that, but not so much what we're doing. But good insight into what it's like to be on a team there. Thank you for that. I tell you, next week we go to Nashville. Real quick, what is your thoughts on Nashville and what do you expect there?
I expect tire wear to be a very big factor, just like tonight. I don't know if it's going to be a day or night race, but it's going to burn the tires up. Night race. Well, that'll help with the tire wear for sure. Hopefully we can qualify up front again. Practice will be important. Green flag, practicing your pit road entries for green flag pit stops, because tonight this pit road was so hard to get on. I just played it conservatively and didn't try to go 100% and nail it. I think a few people missed it.
You're kidding, right? Because when you went in, I thought you were the most, at least from the eyeball test, looked like you were the most aggressive getting on the pit road, because you made up. I wouldn't be surprised if you made up a full second on everybody else on your pit entry tonight. Just so you know that.
Thank you. I practiced it several times in practice tonight, and I missed it the first 2 or 3 times because, I don't know, the setup tonight was really loose and just the way it was. But yeah, I played it a little conservatively. I guess it didn't look fast. So that's good.
Sometimes you got to slow down to go a little bit faster, So there you go. Well, congratulations again. What a great run for you. What a dominating run. Who would you like to give a shout out to?
I'd like to shout out everyone at the NextGen series and Steve for putting on the league every week. It's a lot of fun to race with everyone out here. I know it's only like my 4th race, but I'm looking forward to many more. I'd like to thank you to my teammates, Dustin, Chris, Steve, and Jerry West. He'll be here next week. And I'd also like to thank you guys at Extreme Esports, eSpeed Network, for putting on the broadcast. So it's always fun to go back and watch. So I'll watch this one, at least the last 50 laps or so, because that's when it was really exciting with him right behind me.
Well, good. Now you'll go back, and when you hear me say, man, he was aggressive on that pit entry, you'll get a good laugh out of it. Going, no, I wasn't. So, hey, congratulations again. We look forward to seeing you next week, and have a great week here.
Thank you, John. See you, Travis. Thank you, guys.
Yep, that's Derek Myers, our tonight's big winner here at Darlington.
So congratulations to Derek Myers picking up some firsts tonight. He picks up his first career Linda Haney Memorial Pole Award victory and then finishes off the night with the Southern Conservation Trust 150 here at Darlington in dominating fashion. John, we'll bring up the finishing grid here for tonight's race. Some really good runs back in the pack, but also it's going to shake up that point standings for the second straight week.
Yeah, it is. Troy Radford, had some problems here tonight, and you see a couple of the other guys that I think are all part of that battle, and even Littleton, who normally is like well up into the top 5. I mean, he was able to come back and get a top 5 again. So that I think is going to bring him probably back to the front, I think. But that's also, I think, got to bring Chris Spencer, who finished second, up into this battle, at least a lot closer anyway.
So another great night of racing action here on the Light Electric Company Next Gen Series. As always, we appreciate you tuning in to Extreme eSpeed TV Network. Make sure you like the YouTube channel, subscribe, click that little bell as well. We've got all season long the Light Electric Company Next Gen Series, and then also the Cool Ray Pro Late Model Series. They're back in action next week. But before that, we will be back next Sunday. We'll be from Nashville Super Speedway for the latest chapter of the Light Electric Company Next Gen Series. From Darlington, South Carolina, for John Hine, my name's Travis Pierceville, and we thank you for tuning in. We will see you at a track soon, race fans.
This copyrighted broadcast of Extreme eSpeed TV Network is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without express written consent of the Extreme eSpeed TV Network is strictly prohibited. We hope you've enjoyed this broadcast.